Yes, Alex?
Let me tell you about Man.
I've swapped complete failures at Kickstarter.
Star Fox Command is the first game that you get to be Anthony Birch.
The first of many fuck yous. Like a fucking Looney Tunes? Suck.
The only stipulation was behave yourself and keep your dick in your pants, and you have not followed through on that.
Hey, Tad.
Yes, Alba?
Let me tell you about tokusatsu.
So, tokusatsu. Tokutatsu.
Taco Tuesday.
What do you yammer on about here?
Okay. So, tokusatsu is, it's a type of Japanese media, kind of like anime, except instead of being about cute girls and wanting to fuck your sister, it is about large people in suits and a lot of practical effects and explosions.
And also, like not animated.
No, not at all. It's not animated. It's all live action. Everything tokusatsu. It in some way it translates to meaning something about special effects, like being effects oriented, with practical effects. Which is why you'll see, like I said, a lot of the rubber suits. You see a lot of the things like explosions and stunt work. It extends to things like Godzilla, Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Power Rangers, to most people would know them as. Things of that ilk. Ultraman, Ultra 7. Things of that ilk.
All right, and so just as kind of a prelude here, the reason why we're doing this episode here, if you saw on Twitter and on the Discord, I put up a poll. I decided that after I first heard about Kamen Rider back in about 2010, because I was real little, I was a big fan of Power Rangers. And then, as I got older, I just kind of stopped watching it because it wasn't on TV. And I heard about Kamen Rider, never really got a chance to watch it. And then I decided that I thought it would be a fun idea to do a Watchalong podcast where we watched a Kamen Rider series, starting with Kamen Rider W. And I thought, because since I really didn't know a lot about Kamen Rider and its tokusatsu, right?
Tokusatsu. Oh, sorry, Taco Tuesday. Say it right.
Yeah, Taco Tuesday. I didn't actually know too much about it. So I thought, we'll do a fun Let Me Tell You About It, and then if people decide they really like the ideas behind it, then they can join us along for the watch-along in Henshin Homies.
Right. So yeah, he had to call me in as a ringer, and I'm more than happy to, because I will ramble about this shit for eons if you let me.
All right, so let's take it all the way back here. What is tokusatsu, and more importantly, what is Kamen Rider?
Okay. Well, I already kind of gave a general overview of what tokusatsu is, but focusing on Kamen Riders, that's going to kind of be our topic for the day. It's going to be, Kamen Rider is going to be the magic word of the day. So Kamen Rider started in 1971. It was the brainchild of a lot of people over at Toei, and the actor for Kamen Rider, Hiroshi Fujioka, you probably know him better for being Sekita Shashiro, aka one of the most badass dudes on the planet. Like, he's a stunt man, does all his own stunts, he's an actor, and just generally cool guy. He ended up playing Kamen Rider as well, the very first. And the show was essentially more or less about Kamen Rider fighting the evil forces of Shocker, who is a big bad guy trying to take over the world. He's fighting monsters, he's fighting his creations to put an end to evil. And that's kind of the deal with every Kamen Rider. The series was massively successful, went on to do 98 episodes, 2 movies, and a million fucking spin-off shows. They've been doing pretty much a show a year since the 1971 initial run.
So from the 70s, they've been doing stuff.
There's some downtime, but we'll get to that in a minute. There were some shows that were not quite as good that kind of maybe had the potential to tank the entire premise, but we'll get to that a bit later. But yeah, basically pretty much every year. It's been a yearly installation, massively successful, tons of toys. The shit is basically made to print toys at this point. But it has a lot of cool shit in it for us too, so we're gonna be watching them.
All right, so from what I could see from just kind of like a real base perception of the show, the main difference between the two seemed to be that Kamen Rider follows a main character in a suit, kicking bad guys, punching dudes in rubber suits, and Power Rangers is more about teens with attitude.
So yeah. So Super Sentai is more or less about a group of people working as a team. A bigger issue or a bigger difference between the two is Kamen Rider tends to be aimed more towards like it's really marketed more towards like 8 to 10 demographic, which means kind of like it's got some stuff in there that adults can sink their teeth into and make it a lot of fun and pretty cool. With Super Sentai, it's more or less towards little kids. Which means like you're like thinking like 6 to 7. So it's a lot more teamwork, friendship, but essentially the same type of premise. I believe, again, my expertise in Super Sentai is not as vast as in Kamen Rider. I want to say 75. They started with Go Ranger, which was the first Super Sentai show.
So Kamen Rider is about one dude. Super Sentai is about multiple people. Now, this first show that you mentioned with Super Sentai, is that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers when we in the United States got it? Or is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers like something that came along way later?
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers came along way later. They adapted a much later show, although, to be quite honest, I'm not sure which one it was, when they brought it over here. Saban basically got the rights to a lot of Toei's live-action stuff, and they tried to market Super Sentai to us over here as Power Rangers. It worked very well, because a lot of Toei's audience like kind of lined up with the Super Sentai audience. They would change things pretty massively, bring them over, and they would use a lot of the footage from the actual fights from the old show, and record a bunch of new shit with kids and teenagers with attitude type deal.
Now, so in the original series, so Power Rangers was playing in Japan as its normal like what's it looking for here? Unregionalized self, right? It was just a normal ass show.
Yes. Same as any other.
Did they still have the quote unquote American teenagers? Or was it a group of Asian people?
A group of Asian people. They totally fucked that.
Because I only remember one episode of Power Rangers, and that was the one where I believe it was Billy was trying to take his driver's test, and he couldn't figure it out. And I'm pretty sure at the end of like the episode, they were hitting people with like stop signs and shit. My very first birthday party, very first one that I remember, I must have been like 5 or 6, was Power Rangers themed. And I remember because my mom had Power Ranger figures on top of like the birthday cake, and I ran around.
Oh man, you had the fucking cool mom then, eh?
I also had a Power Rangers fighting game for the Super Nintendo where you were in Megazords, and I could not figure it out.
Ivan Ooze was busted in that fucking game. I remember that shit.
I also had a Godzilla game. Same situation where I was too young to figure them out. They made no goddamn sense to me.
They were also pretty bad.
Like the Godzilla one, every time you took a step, you lost a bunch of life. And so I'm like, what the fuck's happening? And then I get to the guy at the end, and he would just kick my ass, and I just drop it.
That game is that Godzilla game is like surprisingly resource intensive and really difficult. I'm sure you're a little like what you said. You're like 7-year-old brain couldn't comprehend what you were seeing. You're like, what the fuck? This is bullshit.
But anyway, Power Rangers is in America much more well known than Kamen Rider for a lot of reasons. Power Rangers is even still getting. I don't know if it's on a yearly thing like Kamen Rider is.
Yes.
I don't know if there's a yearly new Power Rangers every single time, or if they kind of extend them.
So yes, I can actually speak a little bit on that subject. So what they've started doing is, I believe it's is it Disney or Nickelodeon? Someone
Nickelodeon had it for a while.
So whoever owns the current rights to Power Rangers, they are working alongside the people doing Super Sentai. And now they are more or less adapting the exact story, almost beat for beat, over here. When they are still casting new actors to do like American actors and changing some things, obviously. But for the most part, it seems like what they're doing is taking the exact plots and just kind of Phoenix writing it almost, as opposed to right. It's a good way. I think that's a good way to describe it because
that is pretty good.
Because they're doing it in a way where yes, there's so many weird Japanese things about this show or weird specific things about this show that we just can't flat adapt it. So we're gonna have to make changes. We're gonna
Eat your
have to
hamburgers,
make it
Apollo.
more about stuff like this. Yeah. You know the deal. But it's a lot more accurate. That, among the Sentai fans and amongst Power Rangers fans, because believe it or not, they tend to clash a lot more than you'd think. This is a weird point of contention, apparently, because like a lot of Power Rangers fans, they tend to like how it's a different interpretation, like an entirely different interpretation of a base show. The one I hear all the time is people say In Space, which is objectively the best Power Ranger show. If you disagree, you're fucking wrong. But they did a lot of things working with the older series, like the older stuff up till that point with Power Rangers and Zeo and all that, and it brought things to a nice conclusion. So they actually told a better overarching story, whereas the show it was based on had to do with I think it was cell phones. It was something way different, and it was like a joke show if I remember right.
There was a period in time in Japan where cell phones were a big fucking deal.
Oh, dude, yeah. You don't even know. You haven't even got to fucking Fies yet.
There was
you don't know.
There was a video game that was kind of like Pokemon, where you used your cell phone to capture creatures and shit.
Yeah.
It just kind of comes up more often than I expected, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Right. I see. But yeah. But back to what I was saying. Yeah, essentially, fun fact though, they did try to bring Kamen Rider over here. And it kind of fell on its face. You might remember there was a brief crossover where they did with Power Ranger show where they had Masked Rider Black, or I think they might have just called him Masked Rider, but it was an adaptation of Kamen Rider Black, and boy, when they tried to throw in the Power Rangers eyes.
Yeah, okay, I actually saw this.
It's so bad. If you can YouTube it, listener at home, look for Masked Rider Power Rangers and just do yourself a fucking favor.
Because they have him in he's in a Ewok suit, not Ewok. They're covered in rags and stuff, and he's doing Kamen Rider stuff where he's jumping and doing doing the kicks and stuff. They kind of superimposed the whoa, ha, can't hold me back, cha,
ha, can't believe that, bro. Totally tubular,
bro.
All that shit.
Nice job, Billy.
Yeah, like I said, it didn't work well.
Did you see the Power Rangers movie that came out in 2016, 2017?
There was a movie that came out in 2016? No.
Yeah, that was a relative... And everything I saw made it look like shit, but my friend Mammon, he's a really big Power Rangers fan.
Oh, boy.
I went over there on 4th of July, and he introduced me to the Legacy Wars mobile game for Power Rangers, and oh my god, that game is hot shit. Hooey! It's a thing.
I think I remember seeing that game.
I know what you're
talking about. Yeah.
The mobile game,
now,
right?
The one that was brought here. They got Jason David Frank to do the voice of Alpha.
Yeah. The thing about it is that the movie apparently was aware that it was turning into a dumpster fire, and they had a sponsorship deal with Krispy Kreme donuts, so you could constantly see Krispy Kreme in the movie. Even in the phone game, they had a stage based off of the movie, and right in the middle of the screen is Krispy Kreme donuts.
Hey, Tommy, would you like a Krispy Kreme donut? Thanks, Alpha. I love Krispy Kreme donuts.
Wasn't Bryan Cranston Zordon?
I think so. I don't know. All I remember is they got Jason David Frank back to play Alpha, and I thought that was cool. But everything else looked like hot garbage.
But anyway, so that was kind of a tangent about Power Rangers. That's really the extent of my exposure with Power Rangers. When I was real little, my dad told me that Ivan Ooze was on top of the cellular towers, and so I'd always get scared of them when we drove by them. I had a Power Rangers birthday party, Krispy Kreme donuts, and that's everything I know about Power Rangers and Sentai.
Right. I mean, to be fair, I don't know much more. Like with Sentai, that's really not my forte. I know a little bit. I know the current show is called Lupin Rangers. It's got an interesting gimmick. The gimmick is instead of being a team of like, you know, a Red Ranger, Blue
Teenagers
Ranger, and all that
teenagers
shit.
with attitude.
So what they've done instead is it is two sets of 3 Rangers that are both blue, yellow, and red. 3 of them are police officers trying to catch the other Rangers, which are thieves. But both of them fight the villains, and they also are chasing away from each other. I thought that was a fucking dope idea. It's the first time I've been interested in watching a Sentai. Because I thought that idea was really fucking cool.
But anyway, so back to Kamen Rider. So the very first series was in the 70s, and the guy who played Sagata Sanshiro, because that. And for those who don't know, there was like a bunch of ads for the Sega CD and the Sega Saturn, which had this dude like doing crazy stunts and shit dressed up. And, like he was in Sonic All Stars Racing, I think.
Yeah, as a background character. He would basically just show up to your house, and like if you weren't playing a Sega Saturn, like he would threaten you. And then he would set down a Sega Saturn. He would just, or if someone like was like, "Man, the Sega Saturn isn't that good," he would just show up and just perform a murder with his bare hands.
Now that's advertising you can feel.
Oh yeah, it's like no, this dude. It's like hey, and around that time, that was much later than he had been Kamen Rider. So people recognize, like, oh shit, man, I don't want Kamen Rider to come to my house and fucking kick me into the moon. I better play the Sega Saturn.
So. Kamen Rider came out, and that was very, very successful. They were selling a lot of toys, things like that. And then what happened after the original Kamen Rider?
There was many shows. Some of them better than others. In particular, there was a show that kind of made a little bit of a lull that came out, which was called Kamen Rider Sky Rider. And I don't know too much about that either. I just know it was a dumpster fire, and it was bad enough that like. The next series, Super 1, didn't get as much budget, and Super 1 was fine, but Super 1, like after that, they took a bit of a break from Kamen Rider. They started back again with Kamen Rider Black, which we just mentioned earlier, and Black RX, and things were starting to go on the upturn, and then they made a movie, which we may or may not cover, called Kamen Rider Shin.
Excuse me?
Okay, so there was a theatrical released movie called Kamen Rider Shin, which means like means Ultimate Kamen Rider. It was pretty bad. They tried to take everything in a radically new direction. They tried to like make it a little more adult and dark.
Would you say it was shitty?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Like it was. Okay. So what do you think of Kamen Rider? What do you think of Tad? Like, ask me this, or answer me this. What do you?
When I think of Kamen Rider, I think of someone who is a hero for justice. If you are a member of evil, he will stop you and stop your evil. Oh, you didn't mention the bad guy in the first Kamen Rider. I'm pretty sure is a Nazi.
No, there was no. I'm sure I know what you're thinking of. There was a screen cap. Yeah, I don't think he was he a Nazi?
I read that on Wikipedia. But that's what I think of when I think of Kamen Rider. I think of a guy in a really cool bug-themed outfit kicking the shit out of bad guys, being a hero.
But, so you say so hero of justice, bug-themed outfit, right? More importantly, it looks like he's wearing like a helmet. That's why he's a masked rider. Kamen Rider. Kamen means mask.
Oh, okay. So, what does rider mean?
Well, that comes from the Japanese word meaning rider. So the big issue with Shin, among other things, was they really went with the different. Like he was an experiment. He came out and he looks very organic. If you ever take a look at the suit, it's not a suit like you would see in a Kamen Rider show. It looks almost more like a Godzilla monster. He's all one suit. He's got like this weird bug face. It looks very gross. And that alone would have been fine. But more or less, it's just the government trying to, like, stop him. Trying to, like, catch him. Because he's like, oh, we gotta catch this guy. He's a monster. We don't understand him. It takes what makes Kamen Rider cool. And doesn't do any of it. So I mean, I he's got a rider kick, I think. I've known from plot synopsises. I've never actually bothered to watch it because looking at the suit makes me want to throw up. But like from what I understand and from the plot synopsises I've read, like that might be something we have to cover, Tad. That might be something we have to look for and watch because, boy howdy, is it a dumpster fire. It's such a dumpster fire, in fact, that when it came out in 1992, they didn't make another Kamen Rider show for 8 years.
Wow. Okay, so that basically killed it.
Yeah, there were some more movies. There was a few more movies that thankfully didn't do anything like that, but they were pretty bad too. Like they went back to like, okay, no, we understand we did wrong with Shin. We're gonna get some suits. We're gonna get some cool explosions. He's gonna fight villains. It's gonna be great. So they went away from all of that, and there was a bit that kind of ends what we would call the Showa era of Kamen Rider. Which is like a lot of the really goofy stuff, a lot of the things you at home are probably more familiar with, where you see like this guy like drop kicking upwards into the air to knock a flying bat like toy looking thing out of the air and then it explodes. That's all stuff more from like the Showa era. I don't think we'll be covering much of that on this show. Maybe you think, Tad? Do you think? Yes or no?
We'll see where it
I would like to watch a few. There are a few that I definitely would like to take a look at, but what we're going to be focusing more on with our show is more like a Heisei era stuff. And just to give you a quick brief summary on that.
So what are the eras? What separates these?
Okay, so basically the difference between Showa and Heisei era for any sort of Japanese media. So keep that in mind, viewers at home. This is something you can actually use. Showa era is more or less the Japanese Emperor Showa. It goes by I believe their last names. Like once the Showa Empire's going on, that is Showa era stuff. Anything that comes from that era, like from that time, from when he lives to when he dies, that's Showa era. So when a lot of this other stuff was coming out, the Heisei eras would start, and that's what led to a lot of the stuff we're going to be seeing now. Basically, this guy is the guy ruling as emperor, who is basically is a figurehead in Japan at this point now. I don't think they have parliament now, right? Something like that. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they don't have an emperor anymore, my dude.
They do. It's just he doesn't make decisions. He's a figurehead. I'm serious. You can look it up. Basically, we'll be covering most Heisei era stuff, which begins with Kuga. Kuga was a Kamen Rider show they made more or less to reboot the franchise, get everything going again. It did very well, and ever since the year 2000, I want to say 2000. I'm gonna take a peek. Yeah, 2000. Since the year 2000, they have made a new series every year without fail.
Wow.
No stopping the Kamen Rider train. We're just going to keep making Kamen Rider, keep making money. Every year, it's become more or less like a franchise. And the same thing with Super Sentai, although Super Sentai, I think, has been going on for a bit longer. I'm not sure when the cutoff point for that was. We'll be starting with Double, which I think is actually smack dab in the middle of where everything would be going. Yeah, that came out in like 2009. So I'd say, yeah, we're about smack dab in the middle, and a good starting point.
Now, is Kamen Rider and Super Sentai owned by the same company?
Yes, I mentioned earlier, both owned by Toei.
Okay. Now, are there... So is Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, are they the only shows of their type that are in Japan?
There's a show called Ultra 7, which is another one. It's the other big one. I don't know as much about it. That one has more or less to do with... Okay, so, like, Kamen Rider's one dude beating the shit out of monsters. Super Sentai's one dude, or 5 or 6 dudes beating the shit out of monsters. Ultra 7 is more or less one dude who becomes a big dude and fights a big monster.
Okay.
If you ever watch the Godzilla movie, you ever see Jet Jaguar? Jet Jaguar is literally a ripoff. He is an Ultraman type. He is a ripoff of Ultraman.
I think I remember Ultraman being on Fox Kids or 4Kids.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah. Because I remember watching it and thinking, man, why do they got all these different men? You got Mega Man, you got Superman, you got Ultraman. and then never watching it again. I watched like 10 seconds of it, and I thought the guy's suit looked stupid, so I never watched it again.
I mean, that's kind of how I felt too. That's Ultraman's like not for me really. If it's for you, that's fine. There are some other shows, but like they more or less kind of come and go.
So I know a little bit about Saban or Saban.
Saban.
So Saban seems to have like a real strong grip on the kind of live action superhero type stuff.
Yeah.
To the point that there was a Kickstarter game called Chroma
boy.
Squad.
You're gonna talk about Chroma Squad.
Yeah, Chroma Squad.
All right, let's fucking get into this shit.
Chroma Squad was a really cool game. It was basically you're a group of stunt actors. You were making not Power Rangers. You got
you're making a
Super
Sentai. They straight up called it Super like Sentai. It's an unofficial Sentai.
And at a certain point in the development, Saban threatened to hit him with a lawsuit and either ask for royalties or shut the thing down, despite having like absolutely
Power
nothing.
Rangers. You're ripping off our intellectual property. We made it, not you.
And
Get the fuck out of here.
Eventually, they settled on because it really threw me off guard because on every single piece of media showing off the game, it has right in there like based on Power Rangers by Saban.
Yeah, they were.
It's got every single thing on there.
They were picking on an indie developer because they could bully them into the money, and even though they could likely win the lawsuit, there have been unofficial Sentai shows made and like Power Rangers parodies made all over the place. They figured, yeah, no, this is enough. This is something we can just fucking just put our thumb on their face and just tell them to fuck off. I really was upset when I heard that because I was someone of the people who backed Chroma Squad. Chroma Squad, I think, is a really fun game, and like the fact they did this, it's like Saban, you can just like fuck off.
No, what I wonder about is if, especially with Power Rangers is so successful, and I wonder why there haven't been many other. I can't think of any Western type shows that try and do the Power Rangers idea. Like, it's pretty simple.
There were. They just all failed and were in the 90s. Have you ever heard of a show called Tattooed Teenage Energy Fighters from Beverly Hills?
I'm sorry, what?
There was a show called Tattooed Teenage... I want to say it was Tattooed Teenage Energy Fighters from Beverly Hills. They tried to do the same concept as Power Rangers, where it was live action scenes, and they were a group of kids who were like these powerful warriors, and they would defeat evil that were coming in. I don't believe this was based on any sort of Japanese property, because when they would go live action, it was just those actors in like really shitty Bible Man looking fucking garbage.
I know exactly what you mean by that, because Bible Man, I've seen Bible Man, and their suits look really fucking lame.
Yeah, it was just that lame. Like, it's a lot of like, think like almost gladiatorial looking, but they have these weird head bits where they kind of cover their eyes. Like, think of that era whenever you saw a really bad superhero parody or like something try to do a superhero thing, where they have the head, like the thing over their head covering their hair, but you still see their lips and a bit of their nose and like their eyes.
Yeah.
And it just looks really bad and plasticky. A lot of shit like that.
And I guess I know about VR Troopers, because there was a JonTron did a fucking video.
That was another one, yeah. There was a lot of things trying to rip off Power Rangers at the time. It just didn't work, because Power Rangers was, I guess, just they had a foothold already.
I suppose so. I also noticed on Netflix and things like that, they will have Power Rangers, but they'll never have Kamen Rider. Now, part of that, I'm sure, is the fact that it's not in English. Has there ever been a Kamen Rider in English?
So, yes. There have been 2 instances of it being in English. One's another one I kind of want to cover, because it was another attempt to try and bring it over to the West. It was a little better. Hey, I'm talking about the Daytime Emmy-winning Kamen Rider Dragon Knight, which aired on American TVs and won a Daytime Emmy before getting canceled.
Really?
It was an adaptation of Kamen Rider Ryuki. if we when we ever get to Ryuki, I wanna then see if we can find a copy of Dragon Knight, because Dragon Knight is literally it's just an adaptation of that. They do the Power Rangers thing a little better with this show, but it still like kind of falls flat on its face. Because especially with Ryuki, it has a lot of darker kind of subtexts and stuff that are lost a bit in the show. But hey, the Emmys loved it, I guess. The other one is there is an official dub of Kamen Rider Kabuto. And the reason for that is because it aired in, I want to say it aired in, like, there's an Asian country that it aired in that speaks English, primarily. I want to say it's like...
Taiwan or Thailand, or maybe even Vietnam?
No, it wasn't Vietnam. I feel like it was
Korea?
Like Taiwan or Thailand. No, it wasn't Korea.
So a Southeast Asian country, though.
Yes. It aired over there in English. They got an official English dub for the show. They literally they took the old show and dubbed it, and it's not bad. It's not bad. It's a fine dub. I still would prefer the original, but it's really not that bad. I've sat down and watched a few episodes of it. But those are the only two times I can think that they've tried. Oh, and obviously Masked Rider Black, but boy, howdy did that not work. But there are no official translations that have been brought over to the stateside, except for one. So Amazon Prime did a deal with Toei to have them make their own kind of like adult take on Kamen Rider, to get really experimental with it, and they called it aptly Kamen Rider Amazons. Do you get it?
Yep, because it was with Amazon Prime. I do know one thing about Kamen Rider Amazon, and that is the yell when the episode starts, goes Amazon. Was it the second or the third Kamen Rider series?
It's based on an old show called Kamen Rider Amazon. I believe that is the fourth or fifth, actually.
Okay.
And I think it's actually number 4, because it goes Kamen Rider, and then there's Kamen Rider the second, who was part of the first Kamen Rider series, V3, X, and then it's Amazon. Yeah, right.
Okay.
So he's number 5. But I think it's the 4th show.
So it was more kind of adult. What exactly was the new Kamen Rider Amazon like?
It's pretty, like, I mean, I don't want to say too much, because we might cover it at some point, since it is one of the only official releases you can get over here without getting, some of those Blu-rays that you have to fucking import in. Boy, howdy, is that a pain in the ass. But it's on Amazon Prime. You could watch it right now. But I wouldn't recommend that as a starter series, just because it is wildly different. As opposed to being 50 episodes like a lot of the other shows are, this one's only 13, and it's 2 seasons, so it's a total of 26 episodes. There's a lot more moral grayness going on. There's a hell of a lot more blood. It's like horror-themed, almost.
It seems to me like... So and I really hope I'm not... getting it wrong with what I believe Kamen Rider is, which is that just black and white, good guy, beating up bad guys, he's a hero, people love him, he's, so you're stopping these bad guys from doing their thing in really goofy ways. Like that's what I think of when I think of Kamen Rider.
Well, that's because you're more familiar with Showa era stuff. There's still goofiness in a lot of the Kamen Rider shows that come later, but there is a bit more moral grayness as well, but it's still done in a way that, 8 to 10, right?
So is there now this is something I was wondering about, how there's each series. Now, will they change directors and producers for each different series, or will they keep some people on and go like, okay, this guy, I'm done. Now this person's going to do this, and kind of change it up like that?
There are lead writers that are appointed to the show, and there are like all sorts of other people who do stuff like that. They'll sometimes bring back actors for other roles and stuff if actors want to do that. But surprisingly, a lot of actors for Kamen Rider don't tend to stick around, especially now, unless they really are passionate about tokusatsu in general. Because it's kind of like, imagine if like you were an actor, right? Imagine you're like a young budding actor. You have background in stunt work. You get on a show Power Rangers. It's like, okay, that's cool. What do you do after that?
You just end up coasting on conventions for the rest of your life.
Or you go into voice acting like that one guy. But, like, yeah, it's like you kind of get pigeonholed into that type of role.
Typecasted, I think, is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, pigeonholed typecasting. It's the same type of deal. Like you kind of get stuck in that box. When people look at you, they're like, oh, that's the Kamen Rider guy. Nah. And a lot of actors kind of resent it. So there are actors who try to leave, like try to not stick around as long as they can, and they try to do other stuff. Some actors have got out pretty well and gone on to other things. Some have not. What sucks is when the actors do go on to doing bigger and better things, they don't tend to come back for special like crossover stuff, which is saddening. But hey.
Well, like you said before, there are some people who get into it and they just love the role. Like the original guy seemed to have really liked, he was really into it. He was part of the show more than just being an actor.
Yes, and he came back for a lot of other stuff. Although getting him to come back for Kamen Rider currently, he doesn't like the state of Kamen Rider right now. He doesn't like that it's a bunch of pretty boys, because a lot of the old people who don't do their own stunts, because like the suit actors, like there's a difference between like being a suit actor and being an actor now. Just that way to kind of make sure they can ensure a long life for their people they're trying to milk money out of to come back for crossover things.
A suit actor is closer to like a professional wrestler type thing, right?
Professional stunt actor, yes. They're going to be people who have to work in hot suits all day. They're probably going to have to take a whole bunch of tumbles in those hot suits, which is very dangerous. They're going to have to jump into water where they can't see anything. They're going to have to do stuff where there's explosions near them, where things go wrong. Oh God, now I'm on fire. What do I do? What do I do? They're the brave people that make these things work. And the thing about Hiroshi Fujioka is he was a suit actor and an actor. So when he sees these like pretty boy people walking around like in these new shows, he's like, this is bullshit. I'm gonna show up in a suit of armor in some fucking movie premiere and tell them how I hate Kamen Rider now.
So in the Kamen Rider suits, you can't see out of the bug eyes?
Depends. Sometimes, like I imagine visibility is not great. There have been people who have complained about not being able to see well. It's less the rider suits and more like monster suits and stuff.
I've seen there was one, I don't remember which series it was, but he had a golden disc for a face. I imagine you couldn't see out of that one.
Probably not. Like visibility, I imagine is low either way because I've seen there have been some screenshots of what some of the suits look like how you would just have to see through them, and like, dude. Those guys are fucking legends. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to do it. But I guess getting a little bit back on topic, like, yeah, like there's a lot of rider shows going on right now. We'll be covering a whole lot of them, and we'll be starting off with Double, which is going to be an interesting experience for me because my expertise as far as Kamen Rider goes is I started Kamen Rider with a lot of shows pre a show called Decade, which if we're gonna watch Decade, Tad, we're gonna have to watch all the shows before it too. It's like Decade's thing is it's like an anniversary show where all the other riders come back, and the gimmick is it's like, oh, all their universes are colliding and we're the universe in the center of the universe, and it's like, oh well, they're going to collide with us. What do I do? And he just kind of snaps his fingers. Got it. We've devised a belt to travel to their universe, kill their Kamen Rider, and it'll reset where they're at in the universe.
That's a good-ass concept.
It is a pretty dope concept, though. But it's one that relies a lot on fan service. So I have been watching just about every series before that. I'm almost done with most of the series before that. So if we ever watch like a show before Double, I am probably going to know about it. And I'm going to have a lot more insight on things. Whereas post, not as much. I've seen a few shows, but really not too much.
All right, well, we're kind of rambling a little bit here, so I guess we'll go ahead and cut the episode now. Keep an eye out for the first episode. We're going to be doing them because there's 2 episode arcs in Double. So we're doing them 2 arcs at a time, so 4 episodes each. With your legally acquired Kamen Rider videos, you can watch along with us and kind of keep track with us as we go through, and it should be pretty fun. So I guess we'll go ahead and we'll end the episode here. Thanks for listening on in. Toko Tuesdays was the other name I was going to take, but someone else already took it. So I probably still could have used it because I haven't updated since 2016, but I'd just be stealing
I'm just saying,
name.
we haven't put the episode up yet. Henshin Homeboys, man. Come on.
It's a crappy name. You're crappy.
You're crappy, dude.
Anyway, so you can find the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, on Twitter at Let Me Tell You PD. There's a Discord in the description, a Patreon in the description. Send us an email at letmetellyyouabout@gmail.com. That's Let Me Tell You About with 3 T's. And keep an eye out on those same spots, same RSS feeds, same YouTube channel for Henshin Homies.